So let's talk about named ranges or named range. A named range is a feature in Excel that allows you to assign a meaningful name to a specific range of cells. This makes it easier to reference and manage this range in your formula, improving your readability and reducing errors. So instead of us to say A2 to A11 or B2 to B11, we could say B2 to B11. Name this range as name, C2 to C11, name it as age, and so on and so forth. Let's see how it works. Let's say we want to define the score range. We select the range score, which is E2 to E11. Then we go to formulas on our ribbon. We go to define names, and now click on define name. So we have a new name. It takes the name of our column score. The scope is for this workbook. If you click down on the scope, you are going to see for the current sheet or for the entire workbook. It is best to leave the scope as the entire workbook. If you ever want to leave a comment for somebody else to know the range, you could just say core is ranged E2 to E11. So this is appropriate if you want to leave trace for somebody else. So we have our address. See that we named this sheet VLOOKUP, right? If it's any other name is going to appear here. So it's saying that when we say score refers to the name of the sheet, the address E2 to E11. The dollar sign just makes it a constant to hold it still, okay? We can then go ahead and click OK. So we have defined a name called score. And if we want to see our defined names, we still head on to formulas, and on the defined names group, we click on name manager. So you are going to see our named range, okay, with the values inside the array, the scope, the comments, and so on. So if you want to create, you can still create a new named range by clicking on new. You can edit the current one by clicking on edit or deleting it, okay? So let's create a new one. So let's create another name range. And this time we will create on the age range, which is C2 to C11. Okay, we have highlighted it. We go to formulas, then define names group, and we'll say define name. So we want to define the name range age. Then everything looks good. We go ahead and click OK. We have defined that name. Let's define another called gender. Okay, we highlight it, formulas, define name. We have it female. Let's call it gender instead. Okay, all right, and we say okay. So to head on to manage our name ranges, we can still go to formulas, define name group, or name manager. There we have all the name ranges we have added. So like I said earlier, you can click to edit any, right? I select, click to edit it. If I'm done, I click OK. Okay, if I want to remove any, I click on it and then say delete. Okay, now let's see how we can basically use our name ranges for calculations rather than using range. Okay, so let's do the first, which is calculating sum of scores. I'll be writing it this way so that it will be clear for us to see sum of scores. Okay, so usually I will apply range to calculate sum of scores, but here now I could just say equals sum, open bracket. You see, I don't have to enter the range. I could just say score. Okay, you see now, immediately I wrote score, it highlighted the area or the range of score, and you can see score on my sheet as score is saved. And you can see the comment at left, score is range E2 to E11. I could just close my parentheses and I hit enter and I get my sum of scores. What if I want average of scores? Only thing that changes is the function average. I'll say equals average, open bracket. And instead of imputing the range, I will go ahead and say score. And you see it again, I close my bracket and I hit enter. It gives me the average. Okay, now let's look for the minimum score. Okay, say minimum score. To do this, I'll say equals mean. Mean is a function here that returns the smallest number in a set of values. Say open and open my parentheses, I'll say score. Okay, you see, I close. So it makes it easy and helps me to avoid errors of range and so on and so forth. So I could just hit enter now and I get my minimum score, which is 78, right? What if I want to calculate maximum score? I will go in and say equal to max being this function which returns the largest value in a set of values. I'll say score, okay? And recall that you have to say it as it is, as you use it. If I add S, it's something else and doesn't work, okay? So score and close my bracket and I have the maximum score, okay? Remember, we named age. So if I say sum of age, I could go and say equals sum is a function, then age, okay? You see the same thing happening for age. I close my bracket and hit enter, it gives me the sum of age. If I say average of age equals average, open bracket, then say age, right? We could just pick our age and then we have our average age. We'll say minimum age, we'll say equals mean, then we'll say age, close our bracket, and we have our minimum age.